Imagine standing on an ancient hillside completely surrounded by darkness. No streetlights, no phone screens, and no flickering lamps. Just an endless, suffocating black stretching in every direction. The silence is broken only by the rustling of nearby bushes. A distant howl reminds you that you are no longer the apex predator. For modern humans, the night is merely a minor inconvenience. We simply flip a switch and banish the darkness instantly. But for our ancestors, night was a terrifying, life-threatening event. So what exactly did ancient humans do for 12 long hours? The answer is far more surprising than simply sleeping. Let's travel back 30,000 years to find out. Our ancestors evolved in the dangerous predators of Africa. They had poor night vision compared to the big cats. They were slow, vulnerable, and easily tracked in the dark. This created an evolutionary pressure that shaped human history. Night was a time of extreme danger and vulnerability. The first and most critical task was finding a safe shelter. Caves offered the best protection from nocturnal predators. A narrow entrance could be defended against lions and hyenas, but not every tribe had access to a convenient cave. Some groups had to construct makeshift barriers from thorny branches. These primitive walls created a psychological sense of security. Fire was the single greatest weapon against the night. Controlling fire changed everything for the human species. A blazing hearth kept the terrifying shadows at a distance. The light allowed them to see threats approaching from the dark. But building a fire was risky and required constant attention. Someone always had to stay awake to tend the flames. This leads us to the first major activity of the night. Ancient humans were likely not sleeping 8 full hours. Historians believe they practiced something called segmented sleep. They would sleep for 4 hours, then wake up for 2. During this quiet watch, the tribe was most vulnerable. Elders would tell stories while others tended the fire. This middle period was a time for reflection and connection. Then, they would sleep for another 4 hours until dawn. But sleep was not the only thing happening in those caves. Look at the walls of caves like Lascaux and Altamira. These paintings were not made for the light of day. They were meant to be seen by the flickering light of torches. The shadows made the painted animals appear to move and run. This was the birth of animation 30,000 years ago. These were not just decorations, but powerful spiritual tools. Shamans would enter trances to communicate with the spirit world. The night was the perfect time for these mystical rituals. The boundary between the living and the dead seemed thinner. Deep inside the caves, the darkness was absolute and total. Imagine crawling deep underground with only a small burning fat lamp. Your heart races as you squeeze through tight rocky tunnels. You reach a chamber and blow paint onto the cold walls. Your handprint remains there, frozen in time forever. This was a brave, deliberate act of spiritual defiance. But the night was not just about fear and spirits. It was also a time for intense social bonding. Without the distraction of daily hunting, tribes could connect. Oral traditions were passed down from generation to generation. Stories of the hunt, of creation, and of ancestors were told. Music was born in these dark, intimate gatherings. Bone flutes and rhythmic drumming echoed against the stone walls. This shared culture glued the tribe together against the odds. But what about the basic biological needs of the night? When nature called, you could not just step outside alone. Leaving the safety of the fire meant risking a violent death. Everyone had to be careful and stay close to the group. Now, let's talk about a surprising twist in this history. We often think ancient humans stopped working at sunset, but recent evidence suggests they actually worked at night. Some tool making requires fine, detailed visual focus. Sitting by the fire provided the perfect light for crafting. Arrowheads were sharpened and spears were repaired by firelight. Clothes were sewn using bone needles and sinew thread. This was not just idle busywork, but essential survival preparation. The firelight extended the productive day by several crucial hours. This gave humans a distinct advantage over other competing species. The Neanderthals may not have used fire as effectively. This difference could explain why we survived and they didn't. There is another, darker side to the ancient night. Not every tribe lived in peace with their neighbors. Night raids were a terrifying reality of ancient human conflict. A surprise attack under the cover of darkness was devastating. Defending the camp required constant vigilance and alert guards. This fear of the other shaped our psychology permanently. Our modern fear of the dark is an evolutionary leftover. But what about the sky above them? Ancient humans had the most spectacular view of the stars. Without light pollution, the Milky Way was a bright, vivid river. They memorized the movements of planets and constellations. This knowledge helped them track the changing seasons. The night sky was their calendar and their clock. Some researchers believe they tracked lunar cycles closely. Night hunting might have been more common than we thought. Some animals are easier to stalk during the dark hours. Humans are persistence hunters, designed to outlast our prey. A full moon provides enough light for a coordinated hunt. This challenges the idea that they were helpless at night. They were adaptable, intelligent, and opportunistic survivors. They learned to use the night as a tool. Let's move forward to the dawn of civilization. The first cities changed the human relationship with night. Street lighting began to appear in ancient Rome. The night became a time for commerce and socializing. Taverns and inns extended their hours past sunset. But the fear of the dark never truly left us. Curfews were enforced to keep the streets safe. The night watch was the ancient version of the police. Centuries later, the Industrial Revolution changed everything again. Artificial light turned night into a second work shift. Humans began to fight against their natural biological rhythms. We gained productivity but lost our connection to the stars. So, what is the final answer to our question? Ancient humans did not just cower in fear of the dark. They worked, crafted, sang, and loved through the night. They told stories that formed the basis of our cultures. They used the darkness to explore their spiritual worlds. The night was a canvas for human creativity and survival. It shaped our brains, our bodies, and our societies. Next time you turn off your lights, pause for a moment. Remember the thousands of generations who came before you. Their struggles in the darkness made your comfort possible. The night is not empty, it is full of history. We are the children of those who survived the dark. And that is a legacy worth remembering. It turns out the night has always belonged to us. What do you think they feared the most? Let us know in the comments section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more history. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Sleep tight and don't let the shadows bite.